Have you ever wondered why some relationships seem to work effortlessly, while others are a constant struggle? It's a question that baffles many, but the answer often lies in the power of words. Words, my friends, are much more than mere symbols or sounds. They are the building blocks of our interactions, the tools we use to express our thoughts, our feelings, our desires. In the context of relationships, communication is the lifeblood. It is the bridge that connects two hearts, two minds, two souls. It is not simply about talking, but also about listening, understanding, and empathizing. It's like a dance where both partners move in harmony, each responding to the other's rhythm and pace. When communication is effective, it fosters understanding, trust, and intimacy. It allows us to share our hopes and fears, our joys and sorrows, our dreams and disappointments. It helps us to resolve conflicts, to make decisions, to plan our future together. But when communication breaks down, it can lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and conflicts. We've all been there, haven't we? You said something, but your partner heard something else. You thought you were clear, but your message got lost in translation. Or maybe you were not listening attentively, too caught up in your own thoughts and feelings to notice the subtle cues in your partner's words and tone. Miscommunication, more often than not, is the culprit behind many relationship problems. It can create a chasm between two people, turning love into resentment, intimacy into alienation, companionship into loneliness. So it's clear that communication plays a vital role in relationships, but what exactly does effective communication look like? Well, that's a question we'll delve into as we move forward, so stick around because we're just getting started on this journey to uncover the secrets of effective communication in relationships. The power of words is vast, and it's time we learn to harness it for the betterment of our relationships. Effective communication is more than just exchanging information. It's about understanding the emotion and intentions behind the information. So let's dive into the key principles of effective communication. First up, we have clarity. Ever played a game of telephone? You whisper a phrase to the person next to you, they pass it along, and by the time it reaches the last person, the original message is unrecognizable. That's what happens when clarity is missing from our communication. Ensuring our message is clear and concise leaves little room for misinterpretation. This principle is especially important in relationships where misunderstandings can lead to unnecessary conflict. Secondly, we have listening. Now you might think, well, of course I listen when someone talks to me. But there's a difference between hearing and truly listening. To truly listen is to give your full attention, to set aside your own thoughts and judgments, and to focus solely on the speaker. In a relationship, it's about showing your partner that their words matter to you. Next, we have understanding. This principle goes hand in hand with listening. It's about grasping not just the words, but the feelings and thoughts behind them. In a relationship, it's about understanding your partner's perspective, even if you don't necessarily agree with it. Finally, we have empathy. This is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to feel what they're feeling. Empathy is the glue that holds effective communication together. It allows us to connect on a deeper level and strengthens our relationships. Now, these principles don't guarantee smooth sailing in all your conversations, but they do provide a solid foundation for effective communication. They remind us that communication is a two-way street, that it involves not just speaking but listening, understanding, and empathizing. Remember, the goal of communication is not just to speak, but to be heard and understood. Despite our best intentions, we all have barriers that can hinder effective communication. Let's dive into some of the most common ones and how we can navigate around them. First up, assumptions. We all make them, don't we? They're like invisible filters distorting our view of reality. We assume we know what the other person means, what they're thinking, or how they're feeling without really checking in. It's like trying to read a book with sunglasses on, you're bound to miss some details. The best way to tackle assumptions is simply to ask. Ask for clarification, ask about feelings, ask about intent. It's amazing how much clearer things become when we take off those sunglasses. Next, we have distractions. They're everywhere, aren't they? From the buzzing phone in your pocket to the mental to-do list running in the back of your head. Distractions can make us physically present but mentally absent during conversations. The antidote? Mindful presence. When you're in a conversation, be all in. Switch off your phone, clear your mind, focus on the person in front of you. Give them your full attention, and watch your communication improve. Lastly, we have emotional reactions. Emotions are part of being human, but sometimes they can get in the way of effective communication. We've all had moments when anger, frustration, or fear have hijacked a conversation. When emotions run high, communication can run low. Here's a tip. Take a pause. If you feel your emotions rising, take a moment to breathe, calm down, and regain your balance. Then, re-engage in the conversation with a clear mind and open heart. By recognizing and addressing these barriers, we can improve our communication and strengthen our relationships. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? To understand and be understood, to connect and be connected. So let's keep the conversation going, and let's make it count. Now that we understand the principles and potential roadblocks to effective communication, how can we put this knowledge into practice? Let's dive into some practical tools for enhancing our communication. First up, active listening. It's not just about hearing the words that are spoken, it's about tuning in to the other person's emotions, understanding their perspective, and validating their feelings. Picture this. Your partner comes home after a rough day at work. Instead of offering solutions or minimizing their feelings, you simply say, "That sounds really tough. Tell me more about it." This small shift towards active listening can make a world of difference. Next, we have I statements. This is a way of expressing yourself that focuses on your own feelings and experiences, rather than making assumptions about the other person's intentions. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," you could say, "I feel unheard when I share my thoughts and you're on your phone." See the difference? The latter promotes understanding and avoids blame. Finally, let's talk about practicing empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's like stepping into their shoes and seeing the world from their perspective. It's not always easy, but it is incredibly powerful. Imagine a friend confides in you about a personal struggle. Instead of brushing it off or offering unsolicited advice, you respond with, "That must be really hard for you. I'm here for you." By practicing empathy, we foster deeper connections and create a safe space for open communication. Each of these tools, active listening, using I statements, and practicing empathy, can be applied to our everyday conversations. They require practice and patience, but the payoff is immense. Think about how these tools can transform your interactions with your partner, your friends, your colleagues, or even strangers. The possibilities are endless. With these tools in hand, we can navigate even the most challenging conversations with grace and understanding. So what happens when we communicate effectively in our relationships? You might be asking that very question right now, and it's a good one. The answer, quite simply, is magic. Well, not the pull a rabbit out of a hat kind of magic, but a kind that's even more astonishing. It's the magic of connection, understanding, and trust. Imagine a bridge. This bridge represents the connection between two people in a relationship. Without effective communication, this bridge can become shaky, unstable, even on the verge of collapsing. But with good communication, it's as sturdy as can be. This connection becomes stronger, more resilient, and more robust. The bridge isn't just standing, it's thriving. Now let's talk about understanding. Ever tried to put together a puzzle without looking at the picture on the box? It's confusing, frustrating, and downright difficult. But when we communicate effectively, it's like we've got that picture on the box. We understand where the other person is coming from, what they're feeling, and why they're feeling that way. It's like we've been given the key to their world and they've been given the key to ours. And then there's trust. Good communication cultivates trust like sunshine cultivates flowers. When we know we can talk to someone about our feelings, our fears, and our dreams without judgment, we're more likely to open up. We're more likely to trust. And that trust can create a bond that's as strong as steel. But remember, effective communication isn't just about talking. It's about listening too. It's about paying attention to not just what's being said, but how it's being said. And most importantly, it's about understanding that communication is a two-way street. In the end, effective communication is the key to healthy, fulfilling relationships. So, start the conversation today, and see the difference it can make.